Hi, guys. It is Thursday night. That means it's broadcast team Alpha. I welcome you. I'm Nori Love. My co host, of course, is Aage Nost. Aage is going to tell us about our fascinating guest. I can hardly wait to get into the conversation. But as always, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for your donations and your super chats. Thank you for supporting our channel. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, that actually helps us. It helps us with the algorithms, and that helps us get even more and more interesting and high level guests like the one Augie's going to tell you about shortly. Before we do get started, I would love to invite you to our mastermind connection that happens Sunday at 2 p.m. It is an ever growing group of people who come together for the good of the world. We come together for beneficent and benevolent reasons. We come together to visualize the beauty, the love, the compassion, the healing, the health, everything that we really want to see in the world. And we've done it for people in the group who have been sick. We had a woman who was about to be put on the ventilator in the hospital during that time when all the craziness was happening from that thing. And we put her in our mastermind, in our visualization. And I've been a nurse 32 years. And she walked out of the hospital the next day, which is just flat out unheard of. I've never seen that. So if this interests you, send an email to the mastermind connection at gmail.com. We'll send you the Zoom link. You can come hang out with us. We do stay a second hour because we just like each other all so much that we love having conversations. So maybe you will find that we are your tribe as well. So without, oh, one more thing. Big shout out to our friends over at the Conscious Awakening Network. Augie and I are going to be speaking there Saturday. They're having a grand opening, if you will, and there's going to be all kinds of festivities going on and the great unveiling of the amazing work that Sheila and her team have been just unrelentingly working at for behind the scenes for quite a while now. So join us over there. We're actually streaming over there right now. You can catch Augie on Sunday night here and there at the Paranormal Show. So speaking of paranormal, Augie, will you please introduce our guest?
Oh, this is going to be as paranormal as you can get.
Right?
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun because we have Stephanie Brady with us, and she's been a paranormal investigator and a house cleanser and a cleanser of whatever there is attachments for about 15 years and dealt with friendly spirits, evil ones, and also the elementals, which is usually pretty nice little spirits most the time. And and then and then she was trained in exorcism by a Catholic priest. And after she left the Catholic Church, actually, she started her own church and doing exorcism, cleansing houses, and helping people cross over after they drop the body. And believe it or not, there's a lot of need for that. And of course, also other churchly duties. She does her work pro bono, and she travels whenever there is resources for it. And her church is called Saint Joan of Arc Independent Anglican Church. And yeah, I've talked too much. We want to hear from the guest. Welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Welcome,
Hi, thank you
Stephanie.
for having me. Thank
Ah,
you.
such a pleasure, such a pleasure. So,
It's a
I mean,
pleasure
I've
for
been
me.
I've been thinking about you for days, and I have to ask you, and not because it's my usual question, but truly because I'm very curious. How did this come about for you? How did you get into this? Did it start when you
Yeah,
were a little girl, or did you notice things, or what happened?
it actually started after, well, when I was in college, I had a boyfriend that died in a motorcycle accident. For the first 3 nights after his death, I woke up to a white opaque figure. Um, right in front of my bed. My roommate even saw it, and it would block me from getting to the light for whatever reason. The day of his funeral, that was the last time I ever saw it.
Wow.
So it kind of piqued my interest. This was a housewife, stayed at home, raised the kids, and then picked up. I just started working with the team, and things just progressed from there. I
That's
started
amazing.
paranormal investigating, cleansing, and kept that up
That's
till a couple of years ago when, go ahead. I'm
that's
sorry.
amazing. No, no, no. I was just saying that's amazing.
Okay. Yeah, I just felt the calling, this calling, that I should be an exorcist. Plus, it seemed like the next natural progression to go on. And when the pandemic started, I went from pretty much 90% spirit haunts to all evil and demonic. And so I figured that was my cue.
Wow.
So
Wow. And do you um I think, tell me what you think. I think the spiritual warfare is at an all-time high. Is that true?
it is true. It
It
is true. And
is.
it hit right about the time the pandemic started. More and more people are getting into the Ouija boards, which, the tarot cards, things which I consider are opening up portals. And
Yes.
the Santeria, the black arts, things like that. Besides the fact that the veil's getting thinner, and in my opinion, I mean, God gave the demonic charge of the earth until Jesus came back in the second coming. And so, like Father says, he says, we're not in the beginning, we're not in the end, we're smack in the middle of the
Yeah,
last days. And so, yeah, they're wreaking havoc now.
they are. And have you ever been scared by anything?
You know what? I haven't, not yet. I mean, there will be a time, I'm sure, but that's what God gives everybody gifts. And that's one of the gifts he gave me, was the gift of no fear.
That's amazing.
So,
Boy, oh boy, you beat me to that one because I have a question written down. What is the scariest
Oh,
incident you have had?
mm, I'm trying to think.
oh,
There is a lot. I mean, coming from, I don't know, it's scariest. It's kind of awe. Um, I had like 5 exorcisms in a row. And these people, I was in Texas, and it didn't know Adam from me. They didn't know each other. Different places of Houston. Houston's really big in the suburbs. Different dynamics, different economic settings. They all went. Now, you have to bring the demon out of the person in order to get rid of it. Well, when they came back and the demon was gone, they all looked at me and they said, I was in hell and the demons were watching me. There is fire, but the fire was cold.
wow.
All of them. And
Wow.
that, yeah, that stumped me.
So
That
then,
Yes.
just
Yeah.
blew my
then,
mind.
then it must have been an imaginary fire.
Yeah, possibly,
Hmm.
possibly. But I had never heard that before. And for it to come from 5 people that didn't know each
Yeah.
other from Adam,
So
it's just amazing.
are demons here on purpose, or is there another way that they come to be? Like people who get stuck in that other realm. And what is that other realm where people get stuck?
It's the fourth dimension. I believe it's the fourth dimension where there's a variety of reasons why they don't cross over. They're scared of judgment. They're angry. They have vengeance and they want to get back at somebody. Their people's grief can hold them back.
Oh,
Um, yeah, they could be attached to material things, to their home, to a person. There's just a variety of reasons why they don't cross over. And then they get stuff there and they have no idea at that point, even if they wanted to cross over. It's very difficult for them to cross over unless they
Interesting.
come across a person that knows how to open the portal for them, or
Right.
Yeah.
things like that. So it's
And
sad, you
Yes.
know.
it can be, yeah,
It's so
imagine.
important. Go ahead, Augie.
Imagine they can be too attached to family or
Yeah.
maybe a business or something like that. So they say, no, 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 I'll go there later, but I want to make sure that they're okay.
Yeah, absolutely. They're watching over people.
Yeah.
And then,
You know.
and then the later goes away and they get stuck.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can also
I
get spirits that do. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please, you go.
You
What
do
you
get
have to say
spirits
is
that
more
do end
important.
up crossing over, and they do come back and forth
They do.
to watch over somebody, to protect somebody in their times of need and things like that.
And it's really important. And I say this from having been a hospice nurse, so I got to
Right.
see a lot of people go. It's really important to have somebody holding that space for the person who's leaving, and helping them go. I mean, I'm so
Absolutely.
grateful for all the times that I could help people that I didn't even know that were patients, but
Right.
especially one of my loved ones who recently crossed over. I mean, I sat by her bed, to make sure that she went to the right place for,
Right.
hours and hours and actually days.
Oh,
How
I get
important
that. That's important.
is it? How do
I think
people,
it's very important.
what about people who don't know what to do? What
Um,
to,
you know that I've heard. I can't honestly tell you. I have heard though that there's that if you see your friends and family, go ahead and go to them. If you see other people beckoning to you, stay away.
Mm.
It's your friends and family who you want to go towards. I always, when I'm crossing people over, ask an angel to take each spirit by the hand or the shoulder and walk with them and cross over with them, so they
that's
feel relaxed and
what,
self-assured. And
what can a loved one do who doesn't really have any experience in this to help? The,
pray. Definitely pray for guidance. Visualization is important, I believe, in everything. Visualization is important. Visualize that person's soul going up to the portal with God waiting for them. Speak to them constantly in loving, caring words, and guide them with your voice.
Yeah.
I think that's horribly important.
yeah,
Let them know
that's,
you're there. They say hearing's the last thing to go, is what I've
I totally,
understood.
I totally
Yeah.
believe that. So, what I'm very curious about, because I see it.
Yeah.
How how is it that evil or demonic entities or essences can come into a person and they not know it?
There's a progression of things. It's kind of like the frog in the water thing. Um,
Mm.
it depends. There, like I said, there's always a progression. There's attachment, then there's oppression, and then there's possession. But they take their time, they bide their time, like
Mm.
a frog in the water. So before they even, and sometimes, um, they just plain old, they want fame and fortune. They want things that they can't attain easily in this world. Some people will willingly give their souls over
True.
in order for these things. I know, and that's sad. You sign a contract with the devil, and
That
that's
is,
what they're here to do. They're here to take souls. basically.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow. So what are
Imagine that. Yeah,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Aage. No, you
Yeah,
go.
imagine that there are people that can have attachments like that and they have no
Mhm.
clue, but it is so light and so unnoticeable that maybe those attachments give them thoughts and you think it is your own. So you go and do the wrong things, or maybe sometimes the right things, but you can get guidance from that attachment. You think it's your own idea and you go do it and it goes bad.
Absolutely, and they don't realize that. Now, when it progresses, like I've got a client right now who is progressed to anger. There's just so much anger in him, and that you pretty much it's a oppression or possession at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Unfortunately, but yeah,
I've had friends who were, in our spiritual growth, would say, I think I brought a spirit home with me when we went to
right.
the hospital to visit somebody. How does that work, and what do you do about that?
There is a lot of spirits in like hospitals. There's so much dying going on. People get stuck there. Um, it could be that the spirit that you look familiar to them, like a family member or a wife or a husband, or you just look like they might just like you for whatever reason. So they'll start following you.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it doesn't necessarily, much harder for a spirit to possess than it is for a demonic entity.
Okay.
Usually they're just attachments most of the time. It's very hard for them, in my opinion, to possess.
There may be
And but
people that,
No, go ahead,
yeah,
Abby.
let me say that there may be people out there saying that, nah, this exorcism,
yeah,
give me a break. This can't be real. I mean, spirits attaching themselves to you? No, no, no. They won't believe it. But there's a lot of evidence for this being real. Let me just
yeah.
mention one incident because I have a personal story in regard to that. Back in 20 some years ago, when I was doing two TV shows here in Tucson, and on one of them, I got to interview Malachi Martin. He was an exorcist for the Catholic Church, and boy, did he have some stories. And he died in 1999, and I think in July sometime. And I interviewed him maybe a month or two before. And afterwards, I heard that he said that he was thrown off the chair and he was hurt really bad and he died from it. But he said
Wow.
there were nobody else in the room. There was just me, and I got thrown off the chair against the wall. So there was something there in the room with him that hurt him. How many times do you see that people get physically hurt? They got scratches on them or something like that from other entities that you can't see.
There's a lot. In fact, I had a case in Texas, and I moved to Florida. It's a 2-year ongoing case. Um, First of all, I was down at the beach, and this was 6 months after I moved. I was at just sitting there minding my own business, and all of a sudden there were a swarm of flies, biting flies with red eyes, and they just kept biting. Excuse me, wherever I moved, they moved with me. In fact, I asked other people, "Aren't you getting bitten by these things?" Everybody said no.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
then I looked. I had burns underneath my skin, 3 of them, 3 burn marks. Um, and then later on, as progression went, I was pushed down to my knees and had my head slammed in the sand 3 times.
Wow. What
So,
is
Wow.
this?
yeah,
What's the significance of the threes?
they were, they're mocking the Holy Trinity.
Ah,
So
okay.
everything is done in threes, the 3
Interesting.
knocks, yeah, they're mocking the Holy Trinity. They've said my name 3 times in a row.
Mm.
Everything is in threes for them.
When you go in to cleanse a house,
Yeah.
how do you find them?
It's different. It's different at every level. If it's a spirit haunt, first I'll try to not or to ask them to coexist. It's kind of you're like a social worker with them. Coexist with the people, quit taking all the cups out of their glasses out and throwing them. And if you can't coexist, I'm gonna have to come back and cleanse you out. Rarely has that happened. I rarely have I just if it's evil, I'll go ahead and clean it. An evil spirit, which is if you're a nasty old person when you die, your personality is going to be a nasty old person at the beginning when you cross over or when wherever you're at. It just that's the way it is. So I will go ahead and immediately cleanse them out.
Yeah, I hear that some of them don't want to be found.
No, they don't. They don't. They will hide. They will not. I'm real big on EVPs with on the tape recorder. They won't answer. They won't. No, they will hide. Sometimes it'll take me 2 or 3 visits to the house to get something, so I know that they're there.
That's interesting.
So,
So for the average person, does the praying, pleading the blood of Jesus, putting on the armor of God, some people sage, effective or just not?
it depends. If it's evil, never sage because it just angers the demonic and the evil. You can't. It's better that you leave it to be honest, to a trained professional, to a paranormal group. You got to check them out. There's a lot of flybys out there, and they will amp the activity up and then take off and not cleanse. You want to make sure and do your homework. Make sure
That's
they've
not
been around.
good.
No, just a warning.
Yeah, that's terrible. It ends
Like
up worse
any
than
other.
worse.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's horrible for them. I feel bad for them.
How do they not bother you? I mean, I would imagine that, like, if they could, they would follow you around and annoy you because they don't want you. I can imagine they don't want you doing what you do. Yeah, right?
No, yeah, right. A couple of times I've gotten 10 minutes, for instance, to leave her case violently ill. I have gotten, like I said, that I had 4 double blowouts in 1 year. They're trying to get me to go there. Even this last stint, I've got 2 upcoming cases. From what I've heard, there was an exorcist that tried to do exorcisms over the phone. The 4th time he had a heart attack. Now I just had emergency surgery on my abdominal, and I question whether part of that was due to them not wanting me to come down because it's just hit right out of the
Wow.
blue. So I mean, you
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah. So whoever that is, or whatever that is, they don't want to be
They don't
disturbed.
want. No, they want to be preserved because there's definite possession there.
Wow.
Definite possession, if not more than one. So
we had a friend. We have a friend who lived in a house that, I mean, Stephanie, the things that were that was she's a podcaster as well, Laura Lee, Augie, right?
yeah.
I mean, incredible. I mean, physical things would happen to her. Things in the house would happen. Really dramatic, frightening things. I think she finally had to move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did she have people come in and try and rectify the situation, or
Many,
and they couldn't do it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They just ended up
And
moving.
a lot of them are like that.
And then there's like here, I have people living in this house with me, but I can't see them. I guess we call them shadow people. I can see them right out of the corner of my eye. When I look over there, they're gone. And
Right.
there's at least two of them. But they're living here too, and they don't bother me. They're just here. What
Yeah,
about
people say all
those?
shadow people are demonic, but they're not. You know, it's like everything. There's good and evil in everything. It's kind of a balance there. So, I don't know. Maybe they're comfortable living there. Maybe it was their house before. Maybe it was on the land. A lot of stuff is from the land. In the
Yeah.
lands,
Yeah,
thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
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 I try to talk to them ever so often, but I think they're hard of hearing because I never get any answers. But when I see
They're
that, I
comfortable.
try to talk to them, but nothing comes back in thought or anything.
Right, right. And they don't do
Wow.
anything. They just let you see them occasionally.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay. They're obviously quite comfortable with you.
Yeah, you never know what they thinking or doing, you know.
No, right?
Do your loved ones or maybe even your pets like pop back in as a shadow person and just check on you? Does that
Um,
ever?
I don't know about shadow people, but they do pop back in,
They do.
definitely.
They do. That's interesting.
They
Because
do.
I had a long-haired Chihuahua, Steph, and he had this unique shape, and that shape, is forever in my mind. And every now and then,
Right.
I'll be in the kitchen and I'll see something. I'll go, "That was Woody." And he's like, "That was Woody." It was just a little shadow, perfectly shaped like him, and then it was gone.
That was him. That
And
was
I
him.
love
Pets
it.
are well known for coming back
I like
and
that.
checking up on you. And yeah, yeah. And so are your relatives, definitely. Especially if they want to protect you from something or, just watch over you. They'll come
Mm,
back.
Thank goodness.
So
That's weird. People looking out for us. What about the good and sweet and like elementals and fairies and
now
I know
there's good and bad. It's just like
uh,
there is with everything. There's good and bad with the elementals as well. There's demonic elementals and there's good elementals. I had a case once where it was a dwarf, which is what it was. And what he would do was people would go to sleep and they had been in the house for 11 years. It would start tormenting them at night, pulling their hair, jumping out of bed, do everything to keep them awake. That was a 2-year ongoing case for me, too. I filmed them one night and you could see the orbs going down and touching them and seeing the people start thrashing about. I went out at 2 a.m. to start my car and go home, and the battery was totally dead. There was no reason for it. And my coworker was sitting in her car right behind me. All of a sudden, the headlights start flashing, the horn starts going off, the dashboard is flashing on and off. I'm frantically trying to turn everything off, but there's no way to do it because I hadn't turned it on.
wow.
So it was his way of telling me not to come back, I think. But we tried everything with him, offerings, everything, but I couldn't get any Indians to come out and bless the land. Is the only thing
Oh,
we had tried. Um,
uh,
but I think somebody built that house on his house,
oh, I
and he
see.
was just ticked off, and he didn't want to go. He wasn't going to
Yeah.
go anywhere, no matter what I did. So
Wow.
I don't think he was
Wow.
evil. I think he was just mad.
So
Yeah.
for people who are possessed, we see in the
Mhm.
movies the very dramatic things where bodies contort and go into shapes that they shouldn't go into. Does that really happen?
Not as I haven't seen that. I've
Okay.
seen the extra human strength, where there was, and they all have extra human strength. It's incredible. Where I couldn't even hold down one hand, much less anything else. It's just incredible. You're They do certain. I try and do a body go around them. I said that's really the best. You need 2 or 3 people to contain these people.
Yeah.
It's just their eyes turn black. Although technically you're not supposed to look in their eyes, but their eyes do turn black. You can't help it if you're holding on them. They're just their voices change tones.
Yeah.
Words come out that you're not expecting, things like that. So, and sometimes they're awfully hard to get rid of. Yeah, it can take up to 20 exorcisms for one. Sometimes
Unbelievable.
it'll take one. So it all depends on the situation and exactly. I mean, where there's one, there's 100. They have their legions, they have their armies, they have their, frontline men, the sergeants, their generals, their on and on, just like we have in our armies.
Wow.
So depending how many there are, it can take a while to get rid of.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Malachi Martin also mentioned a substance that sometimes show up for people that are
Ectoplasm.
possessed, the ectoplasm. And he said they tried to analyze it and they couldn't figure out what it was. But it
Right.
comes out of the mouth of someone then when they're talking, and they could come maybe from other places, I don't know. But they didn't know what it was.
Right. It's like Father likes to say, especially when it's demonic, it's the evil coming out of the people. He had told me that there was a house that the walls were dripping with the ectoplasm.
Yeah.
And I guess one person actually took his finger and was going to taste it. And he said, don't do that.
No.
I don't know what would possess him to want to do that, but thank God he didn't. It's just, he says it's pure evil
Oh,
Yeah.
when it comes to demonic. Now, I've taken pictures of ectoplasm. It comes from spirits too, so they weren't evil, but ectoplasm comes from a substance that just comes from the spirits, the demonic, everything. Yeah, and they can't put a finger on it as to what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I see now we're down to the bottom of the hour. And for those of you that joined us late, we are talking with Stephanie Brady. We are talking about exorcism, which we will be getting more into now. We talked about spirits and ghosts and goblins and what they are and what they can do. But for those of you that also like to surf the guest's website while you're listening, here is her website. That's hostlywarriors.com. Hostlywarriors.com. And go on there and have a look. You're going to find some interesting stuff. So, yeah, the exorcism, I know the Catholic Church has been doing it for a long time, and they deny that, oh, no, there's no such thing. But behind the curtain, they do it because they can, I
Right.
suppose.
It
Where,
is.
yeah, what is the history of that you know? How far back in history do you think this goes?
At least 1,000 years, I would think.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
they have the old way of doing it, and then they have the new way. Father has taught me the old way. He didn't ordain me. I was ordained by another church. The Roman Catholic Church doesn't believe in ordaining women.
yeah.
But he has taken me under his wing the last 5 years and has taught me the old way of doing it. It's kind of like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I agree with that
Mm.
100%. I've seen things manifest. I've seen blood manifest on the ground. I've seen, like I say, the ectoplasm. It's just people will foam if they're getting rid of the entity. They will vomit. A lot of them will get nauseous and go and vomit, and that's just one way of getting the demonic out of them. But and some people I've never seen him do it, but some people do tie them up to a chair because they do have superhuman strength and they can get violent to get away. But
Amazing.
um yeah, generally we have enough people to hold them down, so which is good.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of too them doing their job afterwards. I had one gentleman that had a pentagram that was painted on the back door of his house, and he was exorcised. And then he called us a few weeks later, and his job was to get that pentagram up there, keep that door, and get it out. And he wanted more help, but he hadn't done that yet. So it was kind of like, we give them things to say. A lot of people do what they're supposed to do, but then there's that slim number that don't. And it's like everybody has a choice what they do.
Let's try to
So
give people that have something in their house that they think, nah, that shouldn't be here. There's got to be
right.
something moving around here that I don't see. Can you give them something that they can do as a layperson? I don't know, there's something about sage that spirits don't like, but what
Right.
can people actually do on their own to
Burn
maybe
frankincense
clean?
and myrrh. Definitely burn frankincense and myrrh. I would get some oil, some holy oil, and that's easy. You can get that off Amazon. Go to your local church, get some holy water there. You want to go from the back bedroom, work each room all the way up to the front. What you're going to do in each room is put some holy oil above every window, every closet, every opening, every intake vent, every outtake vent, and then move forward. And then when you finally get there, spray holy water too in every closet, every room, cover it while you're using the incense, the frankincense and myrrh. You just want to, you literally want to take all your smoke detectors down and smoke the heck out of the house,
Mhm.
basically.
Yeah.
And so then you work your way forward. And when you get to the front door, what you want to do is open it and kind of smudge it out with the frankincense and myrrh smoke, and then seal the upper with the oil and
Mhm.
spray the holy water. And then leave that open about 5 minutes and then shut it. That should help a lot.
That's good.
Definitely.
That's helpful. That's so
If you're
helpful.
using, and if you can't remember it, just give me a call. My number's on the website. And
Yeah.
I will be glad to write it for you up or walk you through it.
Yeah, and just for the audience and our friends, I mean, Stephanie does this pro bono. Stephanie does not charge for this. It is such a beautiful gift that you give. So thank you for that. But there is a question, Stephanie, in the chat room.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any experience with Azrael? And is Azrael demonic?
Azrael, oh, he's the archangel of death, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't believe he's demonic. He actually helps transition death
That's what I
over.
thought.
I believe he's good. He's a good archangel.
Mhm.
So no, he's not evil. He helps the people with death. He helps the people that are left behind with their grief. So he is very good.
Could you talk a
Thank
little bit
you.
about maybe the process of exorcism too? Is
Yeah,
there
sure. What you do is first you have to do the house first, the dwelling first. And there again, you do the frankincense and myrrh, you smudge the heck out of the entire house. You anoint the openings with the holy oil, spray the holy water all around. you get to the front door, push it out. And then once you've done all that, what the thing is you're getting the demons out of the house and off the walls and everything. So then you know that there's nobody else, that once you get the person done, there's nothing else there that can jump in.
Yeah.
So then what you do, and there's a lot of ways of doing this. You can bless wine, which is the blood of Christ. You can give that to the person to make them manifest. You can, Palo Santo will help them manifest. You want to bring the demon out first. Okay, you got to get rid of the demon. And you just prayers, Bible verses, play the chants as loud as you can in the house. They don't like the chants. And then if you can get the person to say, I love Jesus 3 times, that's the key. That's what it's going to finally get that demon out.
Wow.
What if it
Wow.
is not a demon at all? It's just your dead
Yeah.
husband that doesn't want to leave.
Yeah, you know what? If it's a spirit and it's a good spirit and they don't want to leave, they have free will just like we do. So there's nothing you can do that's going to make them go. If it's a human
Wow.
spirit. Yeah, absolutely nothing. They're going to stay.
Yeah, they still have a mind of their own, don't they?
Yeah, they still have a mind of their own. So if you have family, friends, whatever hanging out, yeah, they're not going anywhere.
Unbelievable.
So,
But you
When I-
also help people cross over. If there's someone in the house that you want to help cross over, how do you go about starting that out?
I go about it, it's kind of like you counsel them first. Explain to them why they shouldn't be scared of crossing over, why they shouldn't be scared of judgment. Um, uh, Things like that. You kind of, like I say, you counsel them, and then if they don't want to cross over again, they've got free will. They're not going to go over. So then you call all the spirits that want to cross over into that room. I call on Archangel Michael and God and Jesus to open up the portal for crossing over. Then it's a lot of visualization. I visualize it. I ask everybody in the room to visualize it. And then I ask an angel to stand by each soul and escort them in the crossing over. And then I visualize that. And then you got to remember to close the portal too. So after all is said and done, then I close the portal. So it's all about intent.
Yeah. Do you use any equipment to communicate with them? And there are several ways you can talk to spirits, but electronically. The Tesla Spirit Radio is one of them.
Exactly. I use spirit radios. I use tape recorders, especially one called the DR60, which is phenomenal. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of that one. It's from the Panasonic 1990s, and people kept insisting that there were other voices on it that weren't theirs, and turned out to be EVPs. So now they're the holy grail, the tape recorders, which they are very good. So I do rely on those a lot.
Yeah, you can have two-way communications with them using some of that. I mean, the YouTube is full of people that built the Tesla Spirit Radio, and they're talking with them. They got conversations, and
absolutely
asking questions and get answers.
Right? It's phenomenal. I love doing that. I love talking to them. I prefer talking over anything else. I'm not real big on pictures or anything like that, but yeah, the EVPs and the radios I love. I rely on those a lot.
If you're good with electronics, buy the parts. There are websites out there that list the parts, and you can buy them. That'll cost you about $25 to put it together if you know how to work a little bit of electronics. There's about 15 parts. That's all there is.
Oh, I've got to put one together. I've got about 15 spare radios right now. I've got I call myself a gadget girl. I've got an entire room filled with equipment. So
Oh, goodness.
I
Oh my.
try making one now.
Yeah.
And Stephanie, what is your website again? Because David, one of our friends at the mastermind, said that he needs some tips for clearing some really difficult entities that are hard to get rid of. So what is your
Oh, okay. It's a www.hostly, that's HOSTLY, warriors, WARRIORS.com.
beautiful, beautiful. Linda,
Yeah.
thank you. I see you put it in the chat also. So that's great. Everybody will be able to reach you.
Great.
Goodness. So
Yeah, and
how
you'll find that information about her in the text below also, so you can grab it from there and get in touch with it. I think you have an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So
is there a flow to the amount of cases? Like, do you see more cases at a certain time of year, or is it just kind of seemingly random?
it's just kind of seemingly random, I think. To be honest, I just started getting cases recently. I did a prayer to God and I said, well, if I'm on the right path, then let me know. And so within a week, I had 3 cases. I said, okay, well, there's my answer. I think he was waiting for it's all in God's timing.
True.
I
Very
believe.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Your,
bad girl.
your your faith must be enormous to be able to walk in there and do what you do with those entities. And I mean, God bless you. Thank you for what you do. Really amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. I feel divinely protected by Archangel Michael, to be honest. I had one case that was on the way home, and my bumper was literally about ready to fall off. I had to drive an hour and a half home, so I was praying the whole time. Just when I drove into the driveway, that's when the bumper fell off. So there are lots.
You can't deny that, right?
No, you can't deny things like that. Absolutely not. So, I haven't been followed home. My car has been the most thing that's been attacked, believe it or not. I've had
Really?
possessed people touch it, and the radio will spin for
Oh,
days, just completely spin. Um, the like I said, the blown out tires. My car has been the one thing that gets hit the most.
how do you go tell the mechanic that? Like,
I know exactly.
that's
Without a
funny.
doubt.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
So,
So,
Now,
how far
there,
have you traveled to? What's your furthest case?
Canada
Canada.
was
Wow.
one of my first cases, my furthest case. So far, I don't know, there's a lot to that case. I think, in my opinion, the person has to 20% usually of what I'm getting from the client is all I'm gonna get until I start delving more and more into it, asking more and more questions. And the fact of the matter is you need 100%. They need to be totally honest. You need to know every ins and outs in order to fully be effective.
Oh, of
And
course.
I
Yeah.
don't feel like we got that in that case, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
So
unfortunate. That was a big trip to
yeah, it
not
was
get the.
cold too.
Yeah. Aw.
Not used to being that cold. But yeah,
Yeah.
I felt bad. So I think I know Father is working with them now.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
hopefully he'll be able to get more of more help than I was able to give.
that's
Yeah,
That's good.
some of this can be really severe too, because just because
Right.
maybe you try on your own to smudge the house and it doesn't work, don't give up. Try it
Right.
different ways, because whoever or whatever you are dealing with may react to something else. Nori, do you remember our friend in Canada, Lori Lay? Gosh,
Yeah. Oh, Audie, that's what I was talking about before. Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, yeah. Okay, good, good. Yeah, you didn't
Yeah.
say the name. Uh, she was thrown around. Her husband was
Yeah.
slammed against a wall.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
bad. That's
Yeah,
bad. And they might need to do it more than once too.
They
And
yeah,
you
tried
say that doesn't
everything.
work. Call on a professional. Yeah, it sounds like what she had there, it wasn't gonna go.
Yeah, it
yeah,
was beyond I couldn't even
It's
wrap my brain
dangerous.
around it, Stephanie. It was that big.
Was it
yeah,
It's-
there from the onset when they moved in?
I think it was. I think it
Yeah,
was. And I think it's still there, actually, if I remember correctly. Um,
I would imagine so. It wasn't going anywhere. They were very strong, whatever they were. Very strong,
it's
and a lot of them.
really. I wonder
Yeah.
why there. It's just geographical history. I keep hearing stuff now. I'm hearing noises. My
Are
other room
you?
here.
Oh, no. Yeah, it could be geographical. It could be, there's a number of things. It could be murder, suicides open up portals, you know,
oh,
things like that. So, history, you never
and
know.
and people are people more susceptible to being um, tormented or taken over because of alcohol and drugs, like when you're not, you know, in the level of conscience. Does that
Absolutely. We all have like a hedge of protection around us, right? And if you're addicted to drugs or alcohol or anything, lying, stealing, that opens up holes in our head
uh,
to protect. And that enables the demonic to get in there.
yeah.
So
wow,
it almost invites them in there.
I
Hmm.
didn't realize lying and stealing was included in that too. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. If you're doing bad things or immoral things or things like that, yeah, it's just as bad as creating an opening.
Yeah, yeah, that
So,
make me think.
yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
Oh
Wow.
So
gosh. Uh, this is
there's a
such a
lot.
deep subject, and you did mention suicide. Uh, I have heard there was another a few years back, another
Yeah.
one that she used to clean houses, get rid of spirits. She says if somebody have been did suicide in the house, they were really hard to get rid of because their energy was so enhanced at the time they left. It binds them to that time in time and space.
Right. I believe that definitely without a doubt. In fact, a lot of these possessions, um, kind of along the same lines, what they do is they tell you to commit suicide. They
Oh.
say you need to kill yourself. Nobody loves you. I don't know why you're here. You're a piece of whatever.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
they're constantly feeding that message into your brain 24/7.
Wow.
So I don't doubt that's where some of the suicides come from.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
basically, like I said, they want souls. They've been known to, well, in my mind, they've been known to, there's been a lot, if when you have your ghosts that didn't cross over, they'll bait them and they'll say, we're going to help you to cross over. And
Mhm.
they'll get them all to follow them. And then they've got them all. They've got all these souls, which is horrible. they'll
Yeah.
entrap them and they'll keep them entrapped or whatnot, and it's just, you know,
Can
there's
you
no
pray for
tricking
their
them.
can you pray for their release if you think that somebody is trapped?
Yes, I believe you can. I believe in the power of prayer,
Me too.
110%. So yes, I think you can definitely.
And then we've been talking about spirits and souls, but there are also things that has never had a physical body that can be very
Right,
bothersome.
right, or yeah, you're right. Never had a physical body, never walked the earth. There's a lot, including aliens. You know, there's demonic aliens as well,
Yeah.
good and bad aliens. So,
In- Interesting. So if they've never embodied, if they've never walked the earth, what are they?
right.
Are they just ectoplasm? I mean, are they just energy or
Part of them are just energy. Part of them are the demonic. A lot of them are. The elementals kind of walk the earth, some are flowing, but there's a lot of them. I couldn't even begin to tell you, quite frankly. I haven't done a lot of research in that part, to
Yeah.
be honest. But the most I know about is the demonic that haven't walked the earth before.
Mhm.
amazing? It's amazing.
So
That is amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to Stephanie before we came on, and I had I don't know if you can hear pigs. Um, it's interesting because my dog senses the energies, and she's very
Right.
very sensing something. So, but the bed and breakfast that I ran was very very Catholic, symbolism everywhere. The woman who had
Mhm.
owned it was getting messages from Mother Mary, and people would come to get messages from her. And honest to God, Steph, I'd be cleaning a room, like leaning down next to the bed, maybe vacuuming, and I know
Right.
that there's somebody right there, and then they disappear, and then they'd be over there, and then I they there was just
Yeah.
no doubt that there were so many entities going on in that place. It was
Right.
amazing.
They were full of
Amazing.
them. I believe that. I believe Mother Mary. Yeah, yeah. Even the entities, she draws them.
It's
She's
amazing.
just phenomenal. I mean, she's the one I asked to intercede for me a
Oh,
lot in my prayers.
oh, good. I love that.
So just yeah, that's what people don't realize. You're not praying to her.
Right.
Like as a god, you're asking
Right.
her to intercede to her
Right.
son for you.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Steph, we've only got about 4 minutes left, and Augie has this question that he loves to ask people, and I
sure.
suspect he would like to ask you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't want to tell you about that because I love to blindside people.
Okay.
uh, the question is, if you could talk to the whole world and the world is listening, what would you tell them?
I be kind. Look towards God. Pray to God. Look for the good. Just look for the good in everything, in everybody. Um, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You know,
That's
Yeah,
in a
there's
nutshell.
the term is be kind to each other and everything will be solved.
Exactly. Exactly. And look
Yeah.
towards, like I said, the good instead of the evil or the, people nowadays. I love people, but sometimes they act a little entitled lately.
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah, really, I know. Okay, never said
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
that's
happened.
All right.
yeah.
And for those that joined us late, would you tell people how they can get a hold of you again? And
Yeah, www.hostly, HOSTLY, warriors, WARRIORS.com.
Love it.
And there's a contact form on there. Just go ahead and contact or call me at 713-851-7920 before
Okay.
10 p.m., please.
Yes,
All
right.
right.
Aw, thank you so much, Stephanie. It was such a pleasure to meet you, and I hope you'll come back and visit with us again in the not
Oh,
too distant
definitely. It was
future.
a pleasure to be here and to meet both of you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Ditto. Ditto.
Yes. Yeah. That sounds wonderful. Okay. Well, we're down to the end here now. So I
All
want
right.
to
It was a
say
pleasure.
that to the listeners out there that we have more shows coming. So please, if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe because that'll really help us a lot. And then until the next one, be good to each other.
Bye, guys. Bye, Steph. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye bye. Thank you both.